Kasi minsan, kasi gumagawa ako ng bagong exam. So, yung na-miss nyo, hindi yung naka-count ng Canvas. Okay? So, for those na may mga make-up exams, then baka iba yung grade nyo. Okay? So, if you want, kung gusto nyo tanongin kung ano yung grade nyo, message nyo lang ako after. Okay? Message nyo lang ako. Okay? But for now, you double check your assignments and your quizzes. Kung meron pa kayong ipapakonsider na hindi ko pa na-consider, then you tell me ahead of time. Okay? So that, no, pagdating ng pag na-end na yung term natin, yung first subterm, you could already see your grades, no? Okay, so yung grade nyo dyan sa Canvas, ita-transmute nyo yan. Pag na-transmute nyo, you're going to look at the table kung ano yung final grade equivalent niya. Whether 1, 1.25, 1.5, 1.75, or 2.0. Okay, so i-check nyo doon. Okay, so as much as possible, I really try my best, no, to check the assignments prior to the end of term. Para yung i-recheck ko na lang is yung either yung finals or kung may mga exercises or quizzes pa na pertaining na lang sa corporation. Yung sa partnership na tapos na natin. Okay, so yun. Please do help me recheck. And then, especially those na may mga pahabol. Okay? For example, yung third page nyo, minessage nyo sa akin sa messenger. Okay, so baka hindi ko yun nalagyan ng score kasi nga hindi ko naalala na nasa messenger yung remaining pages. Okay, so please double check. Or pag yung iba yung answer, in-inbox nyo sa akin sa Canvas, okay, so baka hindi ko na-check. So, if you would notice scores nyo class sa quizzes, for example, pag 5 items doon, tsaka 2 points each, tapos 3 lang yung correct. Okay, so 6, pero yung score nyo is 8, ibig sabihin, meron na akong kinonsider doon. Okay, so yun lang yung i-double check ninyo. Okay, please scan, okay? If you have time, no, please scan. At least makikita nyo na yung tentative grades ninyo. Okay, so let's discuss first what you have answered sa exercise natin. Okay, na malinam naman yung encode ko sa first number when anyways, babalikan ko lang, tsaka i-correct lang natin. Correct ko lang. Ako yung magko-correct. Okay, so discuss na natin yung answer sa chapter 6 na exercise before we proceed with chapter 7. Okay. Okay, so can you already see the PDF, class? May nakikita na kayo sa screen niyo?
No, ma'am.
Wala, nandun sa akin na.
Okay. Sige, loading po siya. Ayun. Meron na class, nag-appear. Yung kay Happy tsaka Sincere Corporation.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So for Happy Corporation, Happy Corporation is 1,500 authorized ordinary shares, 100 par, and 60% of this has been subscribed and paid at par. So compute for the authorized share capital. So yung authorized share capital natin is 150 million. That is 1,500 times 100 na par value ng shares. And the total number of issued shares is 900,000. Okay, that is 60% of 1,500,000 na authorized ordinary shares. Yung total number of issued shares natin. For sincere corporation class, sincere corporation, so authorized share capital is 5 million divided into 100 shares with par value of 50 shares. 70% of the total authorized shares has been issued. One half of this was issued at par and one half was issued at 55 per share. So how many shares are issued? So yung issued natin is 70,000 shares. Okay, kasi nga 70% ng total na authorized share has been issued. So 70% times 100,000. What is the total amount received by the corporation? So 50% ng 70,000 shares was issued for 50 pesos, which is at par, and 50% were issued at 55. So yung total na na-receive ng corporation is 3,675,000. And for the total legal capital, or for the legal capital, that is 70,000 times 50, that is 3.5 million. Okay? So, baka ma-confuse kayo, class, no? It is in the book, but I was not able to highlight it on our discussion last meeting. When you are asked, no, what is the total ordinary share capital, or what is the total authorized share capital, yung tinatanong dong yung amount. Okay, that is 100,000 shares times 50. Okay, so pag tinanong kayo, what is the total authorized share capital, so that is 5 million. Pero pag yung tinanong sa inyo is what is the total authorized share, or what is the total issued ordinary share, pag share lang, class, number of shares lang yun. Okay? Pag share capital, amount yun. Okay? Pag shares, number of shares. Okay? So, baka ma-confuse kayo. And then, outstanding share and issued share is different. Pag issued share, ibig sabihin, nakuha mo na yung full consideration or yung bayad. So, nakapag-issue ka na ng stock certificate. Okay? Yung outstanding, class, it includes subscribed shares whether paid or not paid. Okay? Pag issued, class, yung paid lang. Yung fully paid. Okay? Oh, like for example, pwede rin na yung subscribe mo, let's just say, yung subscribe is 3,000, yung nag-subscribe, 3,000 shares. Okay, For example, 5,000 shares yung sinubscribe. Sa 5,000 shares, yung nabayaran na doon is 3,000. Okay, at pag sinabi na yung 3,000, bayad na, at pwede ka nang mag-issue ng stock certificate for the 3,000 na fully paid na, then yung 3,000 shares, part na yun ng issued mo. Yung remaining na hindi pa nabayaran, hindi yun issued share. Pero pag yung tinatanong is ordinary share, outstanding shares yung tinatanong, kasama yung paid at saka non-paid. Okay? So, now that you have already mastered, kasi mataas yung scores ninyo sa quiz natin last time, so it means that you have already mastered or familiarize yourself with the terminologies na ginagamit sa corporation. It will be easier for you now to understand or to digest pagdating na natin sa entry making. So yung chapter 7 is about the accounting, okay, of share capital. Okay, so we're going to proceed now with chapter 7. Just going to share my screen. So yung chapter 7, class, baka yung subscription na part, tomorrow na natin ma-discuss. So tomorrow matatapos na natin yan. By Thursday, magki-quiz na tayo sa chapter 7. Okay, so if you are going also to check your study guide or yung actually, yung sa syllabus natin, ganun din yung sa orientation, saka sa study guide na ibinigay ko, yung tentative schedule natin doon was March 24 for your finals. Okay, so we'll see kung may changes, but if not, we're going to stick with it. Okay, so if na-save nyo yung orientation slide natin, nandun yung study guide nyo. Okay, so yun din yung nasa syllabus actually. Kung ano yung sa syllabus, kinopy ko lang sa study guide tsaka sa orientation natin. Okay, so accounting for share capital. Okay, so our learning objective for this afternoon is for you to know the rules on accounting for the issuance of shares, to differentiate the memorandum entry method from journal entry method of accounting for share capital, to prepare the entries for the issuance of shares at par or stated value, as well as the premium and discount, and prepare the entries for subscription of shares. Okay, so mas maganda no if you have already mastered the terminologies para later on pagdating sa entries mas easy yung recall ninyo. Okay, so yung share capital, it is the amount fixed in the articles of incorporation which is to be which is to be subscribed and paid in or secured to be paid in by stockholders. So accounting for authorized share capital. So we have two methods: the memorandum entry method and the journal entry method. Okay, so basically class, halos magkapareho lang yung memorandum sa journal entry. Yung major na pinagkaiba nila is on the recording of the authorized shared capital. And yung entry na ginagamit nila, every time magki-credit tayo kapag meron tayong issuance. Okay, so madi-differentiate natin yan with our entries. So sa memorandum entry class, there is no journal entry to record authorized share. Okay, so walang journal entry kapag yung corporation is na-authorized na mag-issue ng shares. It is being recorded using a memorandum entry in the general ledger of the share capital. And upon issuance, the share capital account is credited. Yung share capital, it could be ordinary share or preference share capital. So yun yung ginagamit natin every time nag-i-issue tayo na share capital. Pag one class of shares, so company was authorized to issue share capital of, depende yung amount, and then divided into number of shares with par value. Or, since one class lang, authorized to issue ordinary share capital. Pag two classes naman, then of course, naka-specify. Magkano yung authorized na capital to be issued na preference share and ordinary share. The journal entry class, upon authorization, okay, so yung entry natin is debit, unissued share capital, and credit, authorized share capital. So ito yung number one na pinagkaiba nila. Second, upon issuance, so yung kinikredit natin is unissued shared capital. Pag ordinary, unissued ordinary share capital. Pag preference, unissued preference share capital. So ma-differentiate yun later sa illustration. Okay, so pag one class lang, unissued shared capital, debit, credit, authorized share capital. Or unissued ordinary share capital, credit, authorized share capital. For the two classes of shares, debit, unissued preference share capital, credit, authorized preference share capital. Pag ordinary naman, unissued ordinary share capital, credit, authorized ordinary share capital. Okay, so yun yung major na pinagkaiba nila. Okay, and of course, later on, may pinagkaiba rin sila sa treatment kapag merong delinquent na subscription. Okay, but on the issuance and sa authorization, then this is the different accounts between memo and journal entry method. So let's have a short illustration. So on March 1, 2021, Rose Corporation was authorized to issue the following share capital. So these are two classes of share capital. 50,000 preference shares with par value of 10 and 100,000 ordinary shares with par value of 5. So using the memorandum entry, method, memorandum entry method, we're going to put a memo entry on the general ledger sa preference share capital stating that on March 1, 2021, Rose Corporation is authorized to issue preference share capital with 500,000 divided into 50 shares with par value of 10. So ordinary share capital naman class, okay, on March 1, 2021, Rose Corporation is authorized to issue this is ordinary class ordinary share capital of 500,000 divided into 100,000 shares with par value of 5. Okay, yun yung sa memo entry method. Pagdating naman sa journal entry method, then debit unissued preference share capital 500,000, credit authorized preference share capital for 500,000. And then for the second class of shares, so debit unissued ordinary share capital 500,000, credit authorized ordinary share capital 500,000. So yung explanation class, pag journal entry yung ginamit, so pwede na yung computation yun na lang. Or you could write this is to authorize company or Rose Corporation to issue blah blah. Okay? So pwedeng descriptive, pwedeng quantitative. Okay? So depende kung ano kayo kung ano yung mas comfortable sa inyo. Okay? Pero pwede rin naman computations. Okay? So after putting it or after journalizing it, then you're going to post it sa ledger. So later on class you will be given different entries or different transaction, and then you're going to prepare the journal entries, and then you're going to post it sa general ledger. After that, you have to prepare the trial balance and prepare the financial statements for the corporation. Okay, so ganun. Parang sa sole proprietor din siya, tsaka sa partnership natin before, of course, magkakaiba lang yung account na ginagamit. And of course, yung equity section, magkaiba na. Okay? Okay, so issuance of share capital. Okay, since may authority na tayo to issue, we could already enter into transaction na mag-i-issue na tayo ng share capital. So, the share capital should not be issued for a consideration less than the par or issued price. So, if di ba may two kinds tayo ng shares. So, pwedeng no par value shares or with par value shares. So, kung with par value share siya, hindi ka pwedeng mag-issue ng share capital at less than par value. Okay? Pero pag no par siya, you cannot issue for less than 5 pesos. So, sa no par natin, yung minimum natin is 5 peso. Now, if you're going to receive cash in the issuance of share capital, so when par value shares or no par share with stated value is issued for cash, the proceeds should be credited to the share capital account to the extent of the par or stated value of shares, with the excess being reflected as additional paid-in capital or share premium. Ibig sabihin, class, pag issue tayo ng shares, yung i-credit natin sa share capital, whether ordinary or preference, is at par. Any difference will be credited sa share premium. Okay? So, sa illustration, makikita niyo yan mamaya. Okay. So, first, okay. So, what is, dito madi-differentiate na natin yung memo entry method tsaka journal entry method. Now, in the issuance of share capital for cash at par or at stated value, so kung one class of shares lang, so debit cash, credit share capital. Ibig sabihin, may na-receive tayo na cash, and then may issue tayo na share capital. Pag two classes, and of course, medyo mas naka-specific siya, so debit cash, credit ordinary share capital, or debit cash, credit preference share capital. Pag journal entry method naman siya class, pag one class of shares, debit cash, credit unissued share capital. Pag two classes, then debit cash, credit unissued ordinary share capital, or debit cash, credit unissued preference share capital. Okay, so yung difference lang is yung unissued na word kapag journal entry method every time we issue share capital. Pag one classes of share lang class, usually ordinary, so you could just write unissued ordinary share capital. Okay. Paano naman pag above par or above stated value? Okay, so for example, so the entry would be debit cash, credit ordinary share capital, credit share premium, ordinary. Okay, kasi nga, yung credit natin sa share capital would just be the par value or stated value. So any difference will be credited sa share premium account. Next, pag preference, same lang din, debit cash, credit preference share capital, credit share premium, preference. Pag one share lang class, one class of share lang, for example, ordinary share lang, then you could just write share premium. Okay? Pero, mas maganda kung yung ilalagay nyo is share premium dash ordinary kasi pag nagkataon na dalawa yung classes ng share na i-issue, baka makalimutan yung lagyan ng preference. Okay? So, for practice na lang, you could write share premium dash ordinary. Or depende kung ano yung given sa chart of accounts. Kasi pag sa major exams at entry yung ipapagawa sa inyo, then usually may chart of accounts. Okay? Pero mas better kung sa practice nyo, yung share premium dash ordinary na lang pag one class of shares. Pero pag, anyways, pag share premium lang yung nilagay nyo, okay rin naman yun. Kasi nga one class naman of shares yung in-issue ng company. Kaya lang, baka masanay kayo na laging share premium lang yung nilalagay nyo. Pag nagkataon na dalawa yung classes of shares na ini-issue, marorong kayo. Okay? Now, for journal entry method, it's just the same. Debit cash, credit unissued ordinary share capital, credit share premium ordinary. For the preference, the same. Yung pinagkaiba lang talaga is yung unissued. Now, at a discount, issuance of share at a discount. So, issuance at a discount is prohibited in the Philippines. So, bawal yon. Okay? Subsequent transfer of shares, such as treasury shares, may be reissued equal, more than or less than the par or stated value. And discount is not considered a loss to the issuing corporation, but shareholder is liable and must pay for the discount or the investment deficiency. And discount in share capital is shown as this on the statement of financial position as a deduction from shareholders' equity. Okay, so generally, hindi ka pwedeng mag-issue ng share capital at a discount. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, di ba, pag par value or pag stated even if no par value, hindi ka talaga pwedeng mag-issue ng shares less than or at a discount. Okay, but of course, in some instances, meron talaga. So, meron tayong entry na gagawin. So, we're going to recognize discount. Okay? So, debit cash, credit discount on ordinary share, credit ordinary share capital. Pag preference naman, debit cash, credit discount on preference share, credit preference share capital. For the journal entry method, so it's just the same except for the credit na unissued ordinary share and unissued preference share. Okay, so we have here an illustrative example. So we have Smile Corporation was authorized to issue 40,000 shares of 25 par value ordinary shares and subsequently sold 10,000 shares for cash. Provide the entries to record the authorization and sale. Okay? So, for example, yung issued price is at 25. So, 25, same lang siya sa par value. So, yung entry natin using the memo entry for the authorization, so that is a memo entry on the ordinary share capital general ledger. So, debit, memo entry nga, bakit may debit? So, sa general ledger, Smile Corporation is authorized to issue ordinary share capital of 1 million divided into 40,000 shares with par value of 25. And then, for the sale naman or for the issuance, that is debit. cash, 250. Credit ordinary share capital, 250. So may na-receive tayo na cash. Okay, so that's 25 times 40,000 shares and then nag-issue tayo ng ordinary share capital. For the journal entry method, so debit, unissued ordinary share capital, 1 million. Credit authorized ordinary share capital, 1 million. And for the issuance, debit cash, 250. Credit unissued ordinary share capital. Okay. Now, what if, no, same problem, pero yung issuance price niya is at 27. Okay, yung par value niya is 25, yung issuance price niya is 27. So for the memorandum entry method, for the authorization, so same lang. Smile Corporation is authorized to issue ordinary share capital of 1 million divided into 40,000 shares with par value of 25. And then, sa issuance, dito na mag-iiba. So debit cash, 270,000. That is 40,000, that is 10,000 na shares na in-issue times 27. And then credit ordinary share capital, 250. That is 10,000 times 25 na par value. And credit share premium ordinary, which is 20,000 or 2,000 times 10, 2 pesos, yung difference ng 27 tsaka 25 times 10,000. Or just the difference of your debit and credit. Using the journal entry method class, on the authorization, it's just the same. Debit, unissued ordinary share capital, 1 million. Credit authorized ordinary share capital, 1 million. And for the sale or for the issuance, debit cash, 270,000. Credit unissued ordinary share capital, 250. Credit share premium, 20,000. Now, what if naman kung yung issuance price niya is at 23? Ibig sabihin, mas mababa siya sa par value. So, yung memo entry natin for the authorization is just the same. Dito na magkakaiba sa entry to record the issuance. So, debit cash, 230. That is 23 times 10,000. Debit discount on ordinary share, 20,000. Credit ordinary share capital, 250,000. For the journal entry, yung journal entry method natin, okay, yung authorization, same lang. And then for the issuance, debit cash, 230, discount on ordinary share, 20,000, credit unissued ordinary share capital for 250,000. Okay, now this time, yung shares na in-issue natin is no par pero meron siyang stated value. So assume that 10,000 shares of 20 stated value ordinary shares were issued for cash. So, yung issuance price is 20. So, same sa stated value. So, sa issuance, we have debit cash, 200,000. Credit ordinary shares, 200,000. That is 10,000 times 20. For the journal entry method, same debit cash, 200,000. Credit unissued ordinary share capital for 200,000. Ano naman kung yung issuance price is at 25? So, the entry, debit cash, 250, credit ordinary share capital, 200,000, credit share premium ordinary, 50,000. That is 5 times 10,000 or the difference of 25 na issuance price sa 20 na stated value. For the journal entry method, debit cash, 250, credit unissued ordinary share capital, 200, credit share premium ordinary, 50,000. Now, how about naman kung yung issuance price is mas mababa sa stated price? So, debit cash, 170,000. That is 17 times 10,000. Debit discount on ordinary share capital, 30,000. And credit ordinary share capital, 200,000, which is at stated value. Sa journal entry method naman, debit cash, 170, credit discount on ordinary share capital, 30,000, and credit unissued ordinary share capital for 200,000. Okay, so basically, class, yung stated value, para rin siyang par. Yung difference lang, the stated value is for the no par shares. Okay? Now, There could also be instances wherein hindi cash yung marireceive ng corporation. Pwedeng non-cash assets, services, or extinguishment of financial liability. So consideration other than the actual cash, valuation thereof shall be initially be determined by stockholders or the board of directors subject to the approval of the commission. The commission, yung nire-refer dito is yung Securities and Exchange Commission or yung SEC. So, PFRS 2 or Philippine Financial Reporting Standards 2 on equity settled share-based payment states that the entity shall measure goods and services received and corresponding increase in equity directly at the fair value of goods and services. Measure value and corresponding increase in equity indirectly by reference to the fair value of the equity instrument issued. So pag services naman class, the shares will be recorded at the fair value of services or fair value of shares, whichever is reliably determinable. Okay, so again, pag sa shares, i-measure siya natin using the fair value of the services. Pag hindi natin yun ma-measure or hindi given yung fair value ng shares, then we're going to use the, fair value ng services. Pag hindi siya given, gagamitin natin yung fair value ng shares. Financial liability. Okay, so yung IFRIC 19 provides that initially the equity instrument shall be measured at the fair value of the equity instrument issued. So yung capital or yung share capital na i-issue natin, yun yung magiging basis natin, yung fair value ng equity na ilalabas natin. If not, then we're going to measure to reflect the fair value of the financial liability. Magkano naman yung fair value ng financial liability? Pwede rin, pag hindi given yung fair value ng equity shares. Now, if the difference in the carrying amount of the financial liability and the initial measurement of equity instrument issued shall be recognized in profit or loss. Ibig sabihin, pag may difference yung carrying amount ng financial liability sa equity instrument natin, pwede tayong mag-recognize ng gain or loss. Okay? So later, i-discuss natin yan sa illustration. Now, the following rules shall be observed when share capital is issued for non-cash consideration in conformity with the Corporation Code of the Philippines and with the standard. Okay, so first, share capital shall be recorded at amount equal to. So pag non-cash class pag non-cash, fair value of non-cash consideration received, fair value ng marireceive ng company or ng corporation. Pag hindi yun given or pag hindi yun ma-measure or pag hindi yun na-determine, we're going to use the fair value of the shares issued. Pag hindi pa rin given yung fair value ng shares na i-issue natin, then we're going to use the FAR value. Okay? For the financial liability class, share capital shall be recorded at amount equal to the fair value of the equity instrument issued, fair value ng equity issued, then fair value of the liability extinguished pag wala yung fair value ng equity measured, and yung last is yung carrying amount ng liability. Okay? So ito yung tatandaan nyo kung ano yung gagamitin. Okay? O kung ano yung priority. So we're going to have an illustration on the issuance of share capital with non-cash consideration. So these are the entries. No? Pag fair value of the asset or shares yung gagamitin, di ba una yung asset, fair value of asset. Pag hindi given, then fair value of shares. So entry would be debit, asset, credit, share capital, credit, share, premium. Okay, pag hindi given yung fair value, then par value of asset tayo. So simply debit, asset, credit, share capital. So journal entry method, almost the same except for the unissued na kasama ng share capital account. Okay, pag par value, then debit, asset, credit, unissued, share capital. For the services, the entry would be debit, expense. Okay, pag services, yung unahin natin is the fair value of the services or fair value of the shares. So debit expenses, credit share capital, credit share premium. For the journal entry method, the same except lang unissued share capital. For the financial liability class, our entry would be pag given yung fair value of shares issued or ng financial liability, in this case, bonds. So debit, bonds payable. Credit accrued interest payable. Debit bonds payable, debit accrued interest payable, credit share capital, credit share premium, and credit gains on extinguishment of debt. Yun kung mas mataas yung debits natin kaysa sa credit. Okay? Pero kung yung total ng bonds payable tsaka accrued interest payable is mas mababa compared sa fair value ng shared issued, we could recognize a loss. Di ba pag gain, it's part of income or other income. So yung normal balance nun is credit. Okay? Yung loss naman, the normal balance is debit. Nagkataon in the illustration na meron tayong gain on extinguishment of debt. Kapag hindi given yung fair value ng shares or ng bond or ng financial liability, yung carrying amount ng bond yung gagamitin. So pag carrying amount yung ginagamit, usually wala nang gain or loss. For the journal entry method, so it's just the same except for the unissued share capital account. Okay? Pwede. Meron pa ditong illustration para mas ma-visualize natin kung paano tayo gagawa ng entry. So 20,000 ordinary shares of 100 par value are issued in exchange for land. Okay, so land yung marireceive ng company. The fair market value of land as determined by the board of directors and approved by Securities and Exchange Commission is 2.1 million. Okay, so yung priority natin is fair value of land. So using the memorandum entry method, our entry would be debit land, 2.1 million, credit ordinary share capital, 2 million, credit share premium, 100,000. Okay, for the journal entry method, same, debit land, 2.1 million, credit unissued ordinary share capital, 2 million, credit share premium, 100,000. Okay. Ito naman, pag services. So, 2,000 shares of 100 par value ordinary shares are issued to a lawyer. Okay, so the fair market value of his services is determined to be 210,000. So, instead na magbabayad tayo ng cash sa lawyer, mag-i-issue na lang tayo ng capital sa lawyer. So, for the memo entry, debit legal expenses 210, credit ordinary share capital 200,000, and credit share premium ordinary 10,000. For the journal entry method, so debit legal expense 200,000, credit unissued ordinary share capital 200,000, credit share premium ordinary 10,000. Okay? Another example. Ito. So, extinguishment na to ng financial liability. So, our marketing has an outstanding bonds payable. So, yung bond payable niya is 2 million. The accrued interest payable in relation to the bonds is 20,000. The company issued share capital with a total par of 1.8 million. So, ito na, 1.8 million na. And then, the fair market value is 1.9 in full settlement of the bonds payable and accrued interest. Okay. So, pag financial liability, di ba yung priority natin is first, yung fair value ng equity issued. Second, yung fair value ng financial liability. And last is the carrying amount of the financial liability. So, since given naman yung fair value ng equity issued, okay, so the entry would be debit, bonds payable, 200,000, debit accrued interest payable, 20,000. Di ba, liability siya? Mamawala na siya kasi babayaran na siya in the form of shares. So, i-debit siya natin. Then, credit ordinary share capital, 1.8. That is the ordinary share capital at par. And credit share premium ordinary, 100,000. Saan galing yung 100,000? That is a difference between the fair market value of the shares and the value of the shares at par. Okay? So, meron tayong share premium na 100,000. And as you would notice, the carrying amount of the bond is greater than compared to the shares issued natin. Okay, so the difference would be recorded as credit on gain on extinguishment of debt. Pero pag nagkataon, no, na mas mataas yung carrying value ng financial liability compared to the equity issued natin, then we're going to recognize a loss on extinguishment of debt. Okay, so for the journal entry method, it's just the same. Debit bonds payable 2 million, debit accrued interest payable 20,000, credit unissued ordinary share capital 1.8, credit share premium ordinary 100,000, and credit gain on extinguishment of debt. Okay, next. Okay, so we have here another illustration for the non-cash consideration in case, no, na pag nag-issue tayo for a non-cash consideration. Assume that 1,000 shares of 10 for ordinary shares are issued in exchange for an equipment. So, ibig sabihin, equipment na yung marireceive natin. The market value of the equipment is 15,000. So, using the memorandum entry, so debit equipment 15,000, credit ordinary share capital 10,000, and credit share premium 5,000. Kasi nga, yung priority or yung number one sa list natin is the fair market value of the non-cash consideration. For the journal entry, debit equipment, 15,000, credit unissued ordinary share capital, 10,000, credit share premium ordinary, 5,000. Now, what if the market value of the equipment is unknown? However, the shares are selling at 12 pesos. Ibig sabihin, hindi given yung fair market value ng non-cash consideration na marireceive natin, but given naman yung fair value na equity issued natin. Okay, so for the memorandum entry, we're going to measure equipment using the fair market value of the equity issued. So, equipment is 1,000 times 12, so that's 12,000, and then credit ordinary share capital, 10,000, credit share premium, 2,000. For the journal entry method, debit equipment, 12,000, credit unissued ordinary share capital, 10,000, credit share premium ordinary, 2,000. Okay, now, the market value of equipment is unknown and the market value of shares is unknown. So, yung last resort natin is the par value of shares. So, our entry is debit equipment, 10,000, that is 1,000 times 10 na par value, and credit ordinary share capital, 10,000. The journal entry, debit equipment, 10,000, credit unissued ordinary share capital, 10,000. Okay, next, land naman yung marireceive natin. Assume that 5,000 shares of 150 stated value, so this is a no par share, stated value ordinary shares are issued in exchange for land. The market value of land is 800,000. So our entry would be debit land, 800,000, credit ordinary share capital, 750,000, credit share premium ordinary, 50,000. For the journal entry method, debit land, 800,000, credit unissued ordinary share capital, 750,000, and credit share premium ordinary, 50,000. Okay, since on this second illustration, hindi naman given yung fair market value ng land. It is not determinable. However, yung fair value ng shares is given at 170. So we're going to measure the land using the fair market value of the shares. So land, debit land, 850,000, that is 5,000 times 170 per share. And then ordinary credit, 750,000. So 5,000 times 150. Okay, tandaan nyo class, pag nag-credit kayo ng share capital or unissued shared capital, it is always at par. Okay, and of course, credit share premium ordinary to, bakit 2,000 yan? It should be, how much? 100,000 yung difference. Okay, that would be 20 times 5,000 Tama ba? 20 times 5,000 is 100,000. Okay, so that's a typo error. For the journal entry method, so debit land 850, credit unissued share capital 750, credit share premium 100,000. Okay, so that's how you solve it. Another one, in exchange for land pa din, pero no market value for land or for shares. So we're going to use the stated value. Okay, so debit land 750, credit ordinary share capital 750. Okay, may typo error tayo. That is debit land 750, credit unissued ordinary share capital 750,000. Okay. So that's it. Yung subscription class, tomorrow na lang natin to i-discuss, but please study this ahead. Okay? Actually, yung subscription, easy lang din. Magdadagdag lang ng konting entries, no? Pero parang issuance din. Okay? So for you to be able to practice, please answer exercise 1, 3, 5, and 8. 1, 3, 5, and 8. Sa chapter 7. Yung exercise 5 class, subscription na to. May topic na tong subscription. So you have to read in advance and answer exercise number 5. Yung chapter 8, yung exercise 8 may content subscription. But subscription class is very easy. Medyo nag-complicate lang if there is a delinquent na subscription. Okay? So, again, please answer. Yes?
Excuse lang, ma'am. Pwede ka ask, ma'am?
Yes?
Regarding diri mala, ma'am, sa showed sa screen bala, ma'am. What if naman, ma'am, kung lesser ang fair market value bala sang either equipment or land kaysa sa equity?
Well, technically, generally, hindi siya pwede. As mentioned earlier, you cannot issue a share capital at less than the stated value or at par. Okay? So, generally sa Philippines, hindi. But if in case, no, then going to use yung discount. Yung katulad kanina, na mas mababa yung issuance natin. Okay, so then we're going to use discount. But generally, class, bawal yun. Hindi yun pwede. Okay, but if ever, no, na mas mababa, then we are going to use the discount. Okay, pero generally, hindi talaga siya pwede. Okay? But anyways, that's a good question no, in case. Pero wag kayong ma-confuse class pag sa extinguishment ng liability. Okay? Kasi sa extinguishment ng liability, pwede tayong mag-recognize ng gain or loss. Okay? Kung mas mataas or mas mababa yung carrying value ng liability compared to the equity na in-issue natin. Okay? And it's not only limited to bonds payable. It could also be other financial liabilities. Okay? Sige, questions? By the way, class, no, yung exercise 3, hindi doon nakalagay kung ano yung method na gagamitin. Please use journal entry method. Okay. Usually, class, it is stipulated in the problem kung anong method yung gagamitin. Whether journal entry method or memorandum entry method. In the event na hindi siya given, then we just have to decide kung ano yung gagamitin natin. Okay, so pag may assignment ako na hindi doon stated, like for example, yung number 3, yung exercise number 3, I think it was not stated there kung ano yung method na gagamitin. Let's just use journal entry for that exercise. Okay, but generally, no, it is given. So please read in advance. Konting-konti na lang yung natitira sa, konting-konti na lang yung natitira. Okay, so just, yung natira sa chapter 7 is just subscription, delinquent subscription, and some definition on the issuance share cost and the other costs related sa share capital, issuance of share capital. Okay, again, let me just repeat. Please answer exercise 1, 3, 5, and 8. And then tomorrow, I will just choose among these exercises kung ano yung i-answer nyo sa Canvas. Okay, but if you have time, you could also practice with other exercises. Okay, so far, meron pang question? Again, class ha, please double check your exams and your assignments, yung scores, please double check. As far as I'm concerned, yung utang ko na lang is yung sa midterm na correction and yung sa activity ngayong gabi. Kasi yung number 1, yung na-encode ko doon is just 150,000, hindi 150 million. Yun lang yung kulang ko. Okay? The rest, assignment on chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, nakorek ko na. Yung sa quiz 1 nyo, nagkaroon na kayo ng bonus tsaka correction. Yung sa quiz 5, meron din doon correction, yung sa 1,500. Okay?
Ma'am?
Yes, Loisan?
Sorry, again. Ang sa exercises bala, ma'am, is it file upload, ma'am, or encode lang sa Canvas?
We'll see tomorrow. I think there would be a file upload kasi entries yung gagamitin natin.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Class, if you are required to make an entries and if you are using yellow pad or bond paper, please indent the debit and indent the credit in your explanation, especially the amounts. I've noticed sa assignment nyo, I allowed you to use yellow pad, I allowed you to use bond paper. Some of you were not following the proper way of making an entry. Yung iba hindi na naka-indent. Okay? So, please practice. Kasi nga, at least, pagkita mo, naka-indent yung account, tapos yung amount, medyo mas clear. Okay? Meron sa inyo, parang 1 centimeter lang yung, 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter yung indention. Diba? Ano nga yung standard? Half inch? Okay. Yung standard natin parang half inch. Okay lang yung sa words, pero yung sa numbers, parang mag-ano na sila, okay? If you're using, please naman, huwag naman kayo magtipid sa papel. Okay? Lakihan nyo rin konti yung penmanship. Okay? Pag yellow pad class, pag ito yung yellow pad, sa isang blank, sa isang line, please, isang line lang, isang words. Yung iba meron yung isang line na to, dalawang account yung nakalagay. So, okay lang pag sa Canvas nyo sinubmit, I could zoom it. Pero pag sa Messenger nyo pa sinubmit, masyado na siyang blurry. Okay? Help me. Okay? Help me para mas madali yung pag-check ko sa papers niyo. Okay? So, yun lang naman yung na-notice ko, class up, if you're not